If you are someone who thinks sales is icky, and especially salespeople in network marketing are pushy, this episode we talked to the amazing Tasha Smith. She is the author of Customer First.
And what I love about this podcast and what I hope you all get out of it is that you don't have to prove your value when you're selling. You need to provide value. And so take a listen and enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Kim.
And I'm Shari.
And we're so excited today because we have the fabulous Tasha Smith. And I love her journey from direct sales to corporate America to now coaching network marketing. So we're going to learn all the tricks about how not to be icky salespeople, how network marketing has changed her life, and so much more.
So I'm going to go ahead and give Tasha a proper introduction. And while I'm doing that, I'll just show her book, Customer First, give you a plug, and it's in the background as well. But Tasha's the founder of Emerge Sales Training. She's a business coach, speaker, and author. Over the past 4 years, she has trained and coached over 8,000 network marketing clients to create thriving teams and business full of confidence, profit, and joy. Her heart is to serve people who need to be able to make sales to take care of their family. She is here to help you create a successful business that you love, even if you have no experience. Tasha lives in Southern California and loves to eat tacos. You can tell by her shirt. And she lives with her husband, Charlie, and daughters, Zoe and Haley. So welcome, Tasha.
Okay, first off, do you ever miss a Taco Tuesday?
We believe every day is a good day for tacos.
All right.
I have my shirt here. Tacos are magical.
Awesome. So welcome. We're so happy you're here. Tell us a little bit about your journey, starting with your direct sales experience to corporate America to doing like coaching now.
Sure. So I just turned 40 this summer, and I started when I was 20 years old in direct sales. And in that role, I was able to make sales, train a team, do all of that awesome stuff. Now, this was back in the 2000s when network marketing and direct sales weren't as cool as they are now. So I ended up taking all of that experience. My teams did over $1.4 million in sales.
Wow.
So I took all that experience and I went into corporate America, where I became a sales trainer, a corporate recruiting manager, and a corporate sales manager. I was 36. My kids were 3 and 5. I live in Southern California, and I was commuting an hour and 15 minutes both ways and I was at the salary cap in my sales manager job. So I thought there had to be a little bit more to the next 30 years. And I love the name of your podcast because I was like, done with this. I got to figure out my exit plan. And so what I did is I put up a little podcast, and my whole career had been teaching non-salespeople how to sell things. And so I thought I would work with IT people, maybe accountants who were trying to sell their services, like awesome product, but no experience in that particular place. So I put up a podcast. I had 3 episodes. My friend invited me to her event, an in-home party, so to speak. And she listened to my podcast. She said, will you come to my thing? And I snarkily replied, sure, I'll come if you listen to my podcast, which I think is a deal that most network marketers would take, right?
Right.
Well, the joke was on her. I got hired, outside of my corporate job. And I actually worked with her on her sales conversation. And she was a former coder. So introvert, coder, like that type of personality. And so we put it together, and she went from making $50 a month for 2 years to making $450 the next month.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And then her upline said, what just happened to my check? And so she hired me, and she enrolled 12 people in 1 month, which was more than the previous year. So obviously with 2 clients paying pennies for whatever, right? Because I was just starting, it was a good time to quit my corporate job.
Yep.
And then like through referrals and all that, I ended up working with one of her upline, and then her upline, we trained their whole team. And they went from 400 enrollments one month to 800 the next. And that was, and then we just never really slept since. and that's how I got into it. And on average, our clients who even just go through like the 8-week, like simple first deal with us, will triple their enrollments. And so a lot of people will say, well, why is that? And I'll just say, well, I'm not your upline telling you, here's how I did it. I'm your customer saying, please, could we make it easy to buy? And so what's different is our philosophy is our customer comes first, our team comes second, and our ego comes third. And we work with a lot of companies that, and their products are just the best, like hands down. And I think that if you believe in the life-changing properties of your products, then you have a moral and an ethical obligation to learn how to sell well. Because if you don't know how to sell well, then the customer is sort of out of luck because they don't have, like, I can't take my brochure and rub it on my kid's eczema, make it go away. I actually need the products right in my home. And so what we do is we just have a really, really simple process to help people to be successful. And then that extended into the leadership components because my business partner and I were both ex-corporate sales managers. And then that led into the recruiting components and the social media as well. So that's kind of how we got here.
That's awesome. And what's so interesting, so our podcast is Kiss Corporate Goodbye. And oftentimes people use network marketing as a vehicle to kiss corporate goodbye. You just kind of reversed that. You did the network marketing direct sales piece first, went into corporate, and then kissed corporate goodbye.
Yeah.
So that's a great story. But I want to just go back a little bit to your first direct selling experience at age 20. What got you intrigued or excited about the opportunity that was in front of you with that?
Well, I had just previously quit my excellent job at Blockbuster Video.
All right. Good call, since you wouldn't have that job today.
Yeah. Well, to do an internship at the Department of Justice. So I'm a political science major.
Okay.
Who did an internship in voting rights. And it's November 6th today. So I'm having like a conniption fit. But I came back from that internship and I needed a summer job. And I ran right into the to this opportunity. And I mean, hands down, product. And I think that's most direct sales and network marketer.
I think that's one of the things that people don't realize, that most direct sales or network marketing companies, they just have superior products. Like no matter what industry, I mean, they typically have the best products. And I think people miss that piece. So I'm super excited to learn how we can not miss that piece.
Well, I did a poll in one of my groups and I said, business or product? What got you hooked? And that wasn't the word I used. 80% of people said, I fell in love with the product. I could not talk about it. And so at 20 years old, I was like, oh my gosh, this product is insane. My mom needs it. My grandma needs it. My friend, like, yes, 100 times yes. And what was cool is that there was a system and a process for us to learn, right, as college students, how to make sales easily, efficiently, with high closing rates. That like felt really good and comfortable and authentic. And so I was supposed to go to law school.
Got it.
And in the middle of that summer, I tossed my LSAT book and devoted my life to sales training, which sounds really strange, but that's what I'm doing.
Well, I think that's one of the other things that, we always talk about this. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast, that the thing that attracted us to network marketing, especially me, because I was in corporate America, I was working tons of hours and I didn't have time to learn anything. I certainly wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to start a business. But because exactly what you said was, there was a system in place. There was something that I could just plug in, and that system helped me in my day job. It helped me because I was learning different skills and strategies. And so I'm curious, like, if that was sort of like this starting point for you, where you started to really see the sales strategies and just go, wait a minute, I want to like teach this more. Did that happen?
Well, what happened was, and so remember, I'm 20 and I'm like pre-law, like
Right.
on my way, right? And there was this guy, his name was Chris. His name probably still is Chris. He is 18, computer science major, like your stereotypical 18-year-old computer science major in Southern California. And he was 0 for 13. And my manager said, take him field training. And I went on that appointment. It was a no sale. I got some referrals. And he got so confident that he sold $3,200 the next week.
Wow.
He spoke at the next meeting. He said, learning how to sell changed my life. He stood straighter. He was confident. And I always knew, and this is a much longer conversation for a different like girl time, but I always knew that my calling was to encourage people, but I didn't know how. And so I was like, I don't really know. And I guess I'm a political science major, so I'll be a lawyer, but I don't really know how that plays in. And when I saw his confidence change and when I saw him have hope for his future in a different way, I said, this is what I have to be doing for the rest of my life, is teaching people how to have hope and confidence for their future. And that was actually what it was.
Well, and I think too, sales is such a scary word for so many people. And I think if you were to poll most people, they would say, I hate sales.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't realize is we do it every single day. And especially in the network marketing space, it's more about providing recommendations. And I love how you say it's not icky and it doesn't have to be icky. I don't know how many parents are listening, but I'm a parent. I'm selling every single day, to get my kids to try and do things. So can you share a little bit more about that whole piece that, sales
is icky.
Sales doesn't have to be icky, that, especially in network marketing, it's more about recommending. It's more about sharing. It's kind of that whole mindset shift from going to, hardcore sales when we think about certain professions as hardcore, versus that one-on-one just recommendations and having those conversations.
Yeah. So with the mindset piece, and a lot of like all of this I talk about in the book, and if it's okay with you guys, we can give them a free copy and stuff. But I think it starts with this idea of, is sales on its own? Like, what is it? And so we have this idea of the car salesman who's pushy, doesn't let you leave, anything like that. And so we're like, no sales. And so I go over to mindset training, right? So that I can overcome my mindset. But if you've ever worked with a high quality salesperson, that's exactly the opposite of how you feel. You feel heard, you feel cared for, you feel like you're in control. And the difference between the two is actually, it's just training, but not the training, not the like follow up until you buy or die, and not the like overcome objections training. Actual core training is what makes the whole process enjoyable. And so when we first start this conversation, sometimes we'll do like webinars for leaders and things like that. We're like, okay, well, what makes it, like, what's hard about it? We have this idea of, could we make the sales process enjoyable? So we start with what makes it unenjoyable. And then we just sort of do the opposite. And it's not about being wimpy or unassertive. It's about listening first, right? And speaking second. And I think that's important. I think understanding what is a sale. A sale is just a product or service exchanged for money. And all we're doing in sales is we're trying to create a win-win scenario. And I think a lot of people have this idea that a sale is a win-loss scenario, where I win because I made the sale and you lose because you spent money.
Right.
But a win-win scenario, we are customers of 8 network marketing companies. And yes, we have our own separate account that pays for all of the network marketing products that we use. And all of them I consider to be a win-win scenario for our family. I will gladly give you X dollars for my daughter's eczema not to be such a problem. I will gladly give you X dollars for my husband, the germaphobe, to survive his workday during a pandemic. Like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that sales is a win-win scenario. And then the other piece of it is there is actual words and techniques. Most people don't know what to say. It feels awkward. And so then we'll walk them through Here's exactly what to say to be able to convey your authenticity.
I love that. And, one of the things that we hear a lot, and people don't see network marketing maybe as a viable business, as a way to replace income to be able to kiss corporate goodbye. But you've seen people double and triple their earnings. So share with us a little bit about, how you've seen people kind of start with, making $100 to now making $10,000 or whatever they're making. But what were some of like the key things that you saw transition for people? Like, what were the shifts that were able to happen for them to build a big business?
That is such a good question. So I think it's really different for your your stay-at-home mom people and your kiss corporate goodbye people, which is why I love your podcast so much. It's a different type, right? In corporate America, you have structure. You come in at this time and this time and this time. You have a training manual. You have, here are your steps, here are your goals, and someone does that for you, and then you perform.
Right.
It's hard for a lot of our corporate people. Like, we have a lot of like nurses and doctors that we transition because they're used to all of that structure. And so when like a lot of corporate people, they don't want to do things willy-nilly. So and maybe that's different for you guys or some of the listeners, but the ones that I've worked with is they don't like the whole I'll figure it out along the way. That feels really unexcellent to my top clients that are corporate. So they have this pursuit of excellence, unfortunately, in some spaces, depending on company upline, proximity to your upline, all that, right? There's variables where they feel like I'm throwing spaghetti up against the wall. And so what's been really, really helpful is actually we help them build a training manual. So we teach them the core skills of time blocking and goal setting when you're in charge. Because we want to say goodbye to the boss.
Right.
Right. But when you're in the be your own boss state, you have to be the CEO and the employee. And if your CEO doesn't show up and do their job by making the schedule, setting the goals, then your employee runs amok.
Right.
And you can't have a CEO who's just like, hey, employee, are you good enough? See, that person over there is doing a lot better than you. Maybe you should work harder. Like, we can't have the CEO talk to the employee like that. We can't have the employee say, my kid wants to go to the park. I'm not going to go to work today.
Right.
So that's something that corporate people, they're not usually experienced that amount of freedom, and it's really hard. So I found the like core of goal setting and time blocking and managing all the pieces from a time management perspective has been really key. And then we actually just walk them through all the actual technical skills. Here are the actual words to invite people in a way that doesn't apply pressure. Here is the actual structure, agenda. Here are the questions to ask. Here's how to explain a product in a non-overwhelming way. Here's how to do the ending so that they buy instead of think about it. Here's exactly the words to, get hostesses, or, a simple phrase like, I don't want to make any assumptions. Would you like to learn how to earn money with X company? Like, corporate people, they're used to that manual in a lot of instances being handed to them. And so we work with them to build that, but in a way that matches the way they speak, which is important because, I'm from Southern California. Not everyone's going to speak the way I speak. So we teach them the structure so they really understand the whys, as opposed to here's a paper. And that really helps them to feel professional and excellent in their business. And then they turn up the heat.
So for those corporate clients, what do you think are maybe some of their biggest fears? Because one of the things that we found is that, a lot of times people that are in corporate, they think that going to network marketing is a step down. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
Yet a lot of people have that misconception. So when you're talking with your corporate clients that are transitioning into network marketing, what are some of their fears or misconceptions? And, how does that work as far as a coaching situation?
I think one of them is this fear of being unprofessional. I think that is a really, really big one. They're not used to also this concept of networking. In a lot of instances, their job is provided to them, right? So
Yep.
even if they're a corporate salesperson, their sales are provided or the leads are provided.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not proficient in the networking space. And so they don't understand how to do that professionally. And so they'll start off pretty strong in a lot of instances. And then they're like, now what? Because they have good influence. Now what? And so there is the transition to like hosting, like turning one customer into 3 customers. It's just not a way of thinking. So they're like, how do I get more people? But I would say specifically for corporate people versus it's this like, I don't want to be unprofessional and I don't want to burn through relationships. Because they've always probably, if they're successful corporate people, they've had really strong influence and good relationships. And they're worried about that.
So you are like a master sales trainer and you specifically focus on the network marketing industry. Why? You could be a sales trainer for anything, right? Why did you choose I mean, you could probably be a sales trainer for the legal field, right?
Sure.
But why did you choose network marketing as the place to really focus your coaching?
I think a couple of reasons. First, as a person of faith, first it happened to me. So I'll just like, I don't know if I chose it as much as it chose me. Here's what I know about network marketing. When they find something they love and they start talking about it, you can't stop it. And so I don't think I set out to build a company that quickly, that big. I think part of it was my like unique skill set, but I'm also like, I'm so much for the underdog. Like my core is women, right? Without experience who believe that they could have a better life. There is no better place to find the person my heart beats for more than network marketing, right? So like I had my finance, and this is nothing, he's like, insurance, you could triple your rates. And I was like, but my people are here. My people, right? I used to work in education and same underdog, because I was supposed to be a lawyer, and that's when I found sales. So I understand that mentality, and I love the products. I love the people that are really trying to make a better life for their family and they're resilient, they're kind. At least the ones I work with are kind, and I think that's probably it.
I think you hit the nail on the head with, most of, not all, but most of that network marketing culture and the people who are taking this leap of faith in this business. They are people who have hope and who really are just trying to create a better future for their families. They're trying to, have a retirement plan, leave a legacy, be able to spend more time. And they're doing that because they see that as their way out or their option for a better life. So I think you really there are people too, right? That's why we've both been in the industry for 15 years, because we want to help other people just see that there is a better way, a different way. Times have been changing rapidly. And now more than ever, it is so important to be able to have an online business, to have another stream of income, to have a community of people who are going to be hope dealers. And it sounds so corny, but you've been in the industry forever. We've been in the industry forever. And that is truly kind of the environment.
Wholeheartedly. And I think what I love about it is just like, it's that enthusiasm. And I mean, just the stuff that I've been able to see people be able to do is like, it's something else. So I love it. And it's really, really fun to be able to represent the customer in their business. And yeah, it's just been great. And the products are amazing. Like sometimes, every once in a while, I get to go to a client's house. And, they have a ginormous closet. You guys have a ginormous closet, the closet. And they're like, whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah.
So one thing I want to touch on in your book, you talked about proving value versus providing value. And I thought that was such another one of those kind of paradigm shifts that people in sales don't have to be pushy. They don't have to prove value. It's all about providing value. And I mean, that's something that Kim and I want to do with this podcast.
Mhm.
That's what I think a lot of people in network marketing truly want to do. But oftentimes we go to our default mode, which is proving and defending and all of that.
Yeah.
So if you could just touch on that, because that, I know when in your little note you said this is my favorite part of the book. Like, that's my favorite part of the book too.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the book was encouraging to you as well. It's kind of, remember we were talking about the transition from corporate, right, into network marketing, and how some people see it as a step down. And so I think what happens is they want to be like, look how smart I am, follow me, right?
Mhm.
Except that that's not what people want from a leader. People, Gallup has done all the research. They want trust, compassion, stability, and hope. And it all comes down to our decision making, right? Customer first, team second, ego third. It's our ego that wants to tell everyone the science behind every product, right? Because our ego says, look, I am doing the best product ever, right? Like even before this podcast, I had to like take a deep breath and check my ego. Like, okay, Tosh, don't prove yourself, like just be helpful.
Right.
Because we have this tendency, our ego wants to increase our status. But the problem is when we increase our status, we inadvertently decrease other people's status. So whenever I find myself getting into imposter syndrome, or I see a client running into like a no sell streak, or leaders not, or their team members not responding to them, or their social media posts not, and I was like, well, hold on, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to prove our value or provide value? And when we make deposits of value everywhere we go, and we are a person who provides value, that's how we gain influence. And one of the stories that I told was my business partner set up a client for me and said, oh, you create $1 million earners. And I was like, oh, now I have to live up to that, right? And I started just acting a little off, just a little bit braggier, a little bit arrogant, a little bit in that space. And I don't know, maybe I'm the only person that gets in that space, because I was like, I have to prove that I am that person they said I was. And then the next call I had, I turned off my client's notifications, and she's like, this was the best call I've ever had in my life, because I just had to stop and like actually pay attention to what are the problems, goals, and needs of the person I'm chatting with. And if I just really stay in tune with that, I can always find something where I can say, if we did this, would that be helpful? And as if we take our posture like that in all of our conversations, whether it is a sales conversation, whether it's a recruiting conversation, whether it's a mentoring call, and we just say, okay, where do you hope to go? And how can we work together to get you there? Right? Like, what would be so helpful for you? And I don't think enough people even just ask. Like when I do coaching, I'll ask, okay, what is success? What wins are you trying to create in the next 3 weeks? What do you need clarity on today? And let them tell me how I can provide. I always get, whenever I talk about it, I mix them up. How can I provide value today? And then they just tell you. But
Right.
have we ever even stopped to ask, how can I provide value today to you?
Yep. I love it. So you do one-on-one coaching.
I do.
People and tell our audience what's the best way to find you, and we'll put everything in the show notes as well.
Awesome. So we do one-on-one coaching. We do masterminds, either on sales, recruiting, leadership, or social media. And then we also have a membership. So the best way to find us is actually just go to customerfirstbook.com. We have a free PDF, or we'll mail out a hard copy. And then, we'll be able to be in contact via email. On the thank you page, there'll be like a link for the membership to join for free and all that jazz. It's probably the best way to get in contact with us. You can also just email me directly at tasha@emergesalstraining.com. Tell me your situation. And then we can point you in the right direction when it comes to which skill do you need to focus on, or which skill or system do you need to focus on first to get you to the next spot.
That's awesome. So we always try and end our podcast with this final question. And it's basically, how has network marketing changed your life for the better?
This, I think, is the question I could probably talk about most because there's so many facets to it. So as I mentioned, we're customers of multiple companies, and what the products have done, the different ones that we use for our life, has just been hands down amazing. Now, due to my company, I can't sell any of it, for that'd be a conflict of interest, but I'm just so grateful. My little one used to have these tantrums that were just, they wrecked our family. She really struggled, and now she doesn't anymore. And that's life-changing for us. So I would say that first. Second, to be able to work in an industry that is collaborative, where the people are kind and loving, and they really desire to be the best version of themselves, it's the best place to be involved in. I'm inspired by my clients. I love the opportunity to be able to lift them up. There's a lot of times where they force me to be, every single day, they force me to be a better person and a better coach. And probably my favorite thing is watching my clients put on their gala dresses and walk across the stage. Because to be in a place where you are actually celebrated, that's the thing that I miss most as a business coach. Although my business partner does give me Employee of the Month every month. But like, to be in that, like, that is so cool. And I just hope that the people that are listening to this, like, if there's a great product, go and sell it. It's just business. The only difference is that you don't have to create the product, do the distribution, the legal, or the customer service. It's just business without those incredibly difficult parts. And it's just wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. I want everyone to get your book, Customer First. I think it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Obviously, you focus on network marketing, but the same philosophy, I think, could bode well for anyone who doesn't want that icky sales feeling. And thank you so much for sharing. I love that you are for the underdog and for the overachievers as well, right? You gave us some great
Absolutely.
tips and tools, and we can't wait to follow you and stay connected.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. You guys are amazing.
We loved having you. Thank you.
Thank you.